Hello, well, it's a crappy Sunday afternoon here, and what not better time to do some TV tinkering, or even better, make a video on this particular TV, which is what I'm about to do. Yeah, you may have seen me sort of shoot around with the camera in a couple of previous videos and sort of give a bit of a teaser. I thought, well, now's probably a good time to actually do an actual video on it and sort of explain where I'm up to in regards to the repair restoration side of things with it. So, yeah, it's proving to be a little bit challenging. Found a couple of interesting faults, and one I didn't think it was going to be what it was going to be, but we'll get to that anyway in due course. I'm going to try and make an effort not to waffle on and repeat myself in this particular video, because I know I did it in the previous one, and I'm sort of mentally, I'm sort of not aware of it at the time, but when I watch it back, I think to myself, God, Glenn, geez, you're like a blooming record stuck on repeat. So I'm going to try not to do that. It just the way my brain just seems to function before my mouth. So yeah, let's see if we can't not repeat ourselves 10 times in the space of a minute. So anyhow, enough of that. So yeah, what you're looking at is a Murphy. The chassis is called a V50. I think these came out towards the end of the black and white era here in New Zealand. This is hybrid, so it's got transistor, tuner, IF, pretty much up to the I think the sound, from the sound detection onwards. In the video output stage, it's all tube or valve from then on. I think the set was made around 1970, 71, 72. Because I found a couple of date codes on the filter caps, which kind of indicates its manufacturer. And there are two versions of this too as well. There's a early version and a later version. This is a later version, but the chassis is very similar, and the circuit service information is a bit more easier to read than the later one. But anyhow, we will get to that when we get to that. So, yeah. Where did I acquire this from? Oh, by the way, I suppose you can see my legs in the reflection of the screen. So I'm sitting down at the moment. So I got this from an e-waste recycling centre. Probably back in 2013 or 14. I kind of knew the guy that was running the recycling centre at the time, and I said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind it." He says, "Oh, I'll give us $20. You can have it." I thought, well, okay, well, I ain't got one of these in my collection, so I grabbed it, and pretty much been in storage ever since until it got recently brought inside. I've also got another one of these too, and a proper wooden cabinet. This is the fancy, sexy white one. So I'm not quite sure how many of these actually do exist in the white cabinet. And it also comes with an aluminium stand as well, and of course the stand's buried in the garage somewhere. So yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad looking set, because it's made under Fisher on Paykel, and I think we're still AWA Murphy. So it's probably based on an Australian design. It could be even an English design. I don't know. Maybe some of your overseas viewers might recognise the chassis or the layout or even the design of the thing once I get to that. So yeah, a bit of a look at the front panel there. It's all pretty straightforward. You've got picture and volume, you've got power, and you've got the channel change there with the channel indicator number there. So it's not too bad, I think. It's pretty tidy on the front. It's a little bit yellow in places, but it's probably in a house with smokers, so who knows. But yeah, the top's a little bit marked and dented and scratched, but hey, it's a set. The set's over 50 years old, so you can't expect perfection. And maybe it was dragged along on its side or something at some point. Who knows? So yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, okay. I'll try not to spend an hour waffling on here, but this is the service information for it. Hopefully you guys can see it. Of course, it always appears a bit brighter in the camera than it does in actual real life. But it's looking about the same. So So there we go. It's so there. Models using the V50 chassis are electrically similar and differ only in cabinet presentation. Now it's big and picture tube wise. Okay, well that's cool. That's cool. So wonder if I should move this to where it's got to be a bit more light. Just wondering whether. Oh no, it's all right. I'm sure. I mean, I can see it quite clearly through the camera, so I'm through the lens. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be fairly legible. So here's this basic layout. As you can see, it's got transistors for the AWA amplifier, mixer, oscillator, IF amplifier. So actually it's got it's got VT1, VT2. Okay, it's got transistors right up to, I think, the video amplifier. I think the video. So the video amplifier, it's got transistors right up to that point there, and the rest is all valves, as you can see. It just gives you a bit of a layout of where all the preset pots and what valves do what and so forth. So it's got a PFL 200 VO amplifier, PCL82 sound amplifier. We've got a couple of PCF 80s, I think, for the AGC. Is AGC gated? AGC horizontal oscillator and the reactance valve. It's got a PL504, PY88, DY87. So fairly standard tube layout, and of course it's series filament as well. So it's got a couple of great big dropping resistors and buried deep in the chassis for your HT taps. It's basically just goes through and explains picture adjustment and so forth, all your usual sort of stuff, and principal circuit features and what everything does. You've even got a fault finding section here as well, which is quite handy. Over here we've got all our alignment procedure and all that sort of stuff, sound alignment, etc., etc. And over here at there's your IF curve, vision alignment, all that sort of thing. IF sweep response, and showing all the various test points and where to connect meters and scopes and all sorts of things. And the circuit's kind of broken up into two pieces. So there's two separate circuit boards on this thing, as you'll see, and this is mainly all the front end. You've got your first IF amplifier, second IF amplifier, third IF amplifier, video amplifier there. So yeah, pretty much everything's all transistorized up until the AGC amplifier, and then the rest of it's all tube, as I've said before. And there's all your HT feeds. Very, very nicely laid out circuit diagram. Actually, even at the top, you've got, if you want to find components, you just look to see where the component is, and you just follow down on the circuit until you find it. I think that's really good for component location and all that sort of thing. So yeah, top marks for the circuit, for the service manual design. It's quite good. I think this is the right hand board here. It shows all the components on that side. And we move along to, this is the second board, which has got all your vertical, horizontal oscillator, sweep circuit, flyback, all that sort of thing. All your flyback components. Then when your mains comes in, you've got your bridge rectifier for the filament diodes, single half wave. Then you got your other half wave rectified diode. There's your HT, main power supply. All your filter caps. Amazingly, actually, the filter caps in this thing, still, there's no bulging, there's no hum. I haven't measured the caps with a meter, but it seems fairly good. The caps filter caps look to be in pretty good nick for its age. But I mean, I will probably check them properly. But yeah, I will check them probably with a meter. But at this point in time, they're not getting hot, and yeah, you know, and as they check out all fine, I'll end up probably leaving them in. I'll just leave them in there. There's no point in taking them out again. No point in taking them out and replace them if they're okay. This is just some more. Oh, it just shows inside the cans as to what's in there. And there's another one here showing the tuner as well. They did use a couple of tuner variations too. So there were some tuner variations as well. So yeah, I think mine might be having a later tuner's probably having a later set's probably got a later tuner in it. And again, there's the print layout for that board, and then again all the component location chart for that board too. So yeah, really good. You know, because you've got all the parts, your whole parts list and everything like that. Yeah, so sorry guys, I'm probably just so I might just grab these. This is the later one. You can always skip this part of it's boring. So this is actually for this. But I just find the older circuit a lot easier to read and to navigate around. So some layout, board layout. You can see it's a little bit different in its layout. Here I go, repeating myself again. The circuit is towards the back. Really? Sorry about it. Right, so we get towards the back of the thing. Here we go. Yeah, so here's here's the two different tuners that it uses. I'm not quite sure what's in this one here. I'm not quite sure. I have to and yeah, here's the main circuit, and yeah, it's, as you can see, it's hand drawn, and it's actually not as easy to read. But at least the circuit is on 2 pages, whereas the other one is separate. But you can pretty much follow everything easy enough anyway. But yeah, this one's just not as easy to read. It's sort of a little bit small in print, and with my eyes being like they are, I prefer the other one. So yeah, it was your waveform analysis and everything. I'm just going to pause it for a second here. Right, I just changed glasses. It's a lot easier to see now. So I had my horrible progressives on, which weren't proving very well looking at the phone. But yeah. Right, almost all. Covered. That's the tuner part. We've covered all that. Don't think there's anything else we really need to see, is there? I'm just wondering what this silly chart is. What's this thing here is? Oh, right. It's when you're ordering parts. The different cabinet styles and variations, and obviously you've got to assign. Oh man, what a look at this! Jeez. Almost looks like some form of sort of screwed up Excel spreadsheet or even Minesweeper. It looks nuts. So, yeah, mind you, all of this is going to be pretty much it's all going to be non-applicable now. So, right. Anyhow, I'll pause the video and I'll swing this thing around, and we can have a look we can have a look inside the thing back in a tick. Just before I do that, here is here's some of the official service mods and modifications. So when was this dated? She doesn't say. Someone's actually written on there, Kit 3. So this goes just some mere modifications, improvements, changes, interchangeability of V50 receiver boards. So there must have been some differences. Service manual corrections as well. Yeah, all very interesting. I have had a quick glance at some of this, but guessing some of these mods have probably been done too, but haven't really looked that in much detail. But the good thing is too, towards the back of this, we've got a fault finding chart as well, which is quite handy, or fault finding notes, which is quite handy and very handy for fault finding. Interesting. Very interesting. I must actually sit down and actually have a look at this actually too, in some further detail at some point. To improve vertical hold stability. This change is effective on all sets manufactured after serial number 13490, approximately mid-April 1971. I wonder, I have got the back, might just grab the back panel and see if the actual model number or serial number is still on the thing. Well, here's the back panel, and no model serial number's fallen off. But, oh, there you go. Under license from Rank, Bush, Murphy Limited, England, and Amalgamated Wireless Thriller. So obviously, yeah, obviously it's probably a variation of some Aussie or English chassis, and we've just adopted it to work here. Okay. Oh well, time to look at the insides. Okay, so here's a look at the chassis in general. So yeah, the bit you probably all wanted to see. Yeah, I've replaced a few parts, mostly resistors at this stage. It uses these. You guys may have uses these horrible dog bone resistors, and a lot of them, especially ones with HT on them or power, or ones with voltage on them, they seem to drift quite a bit. So probably see I've changed a few around the horizontal and vertical, down in the horizontal oscillator, reactance areas, and changed a few down here as well. Changed a few down here. So yeah, it's pretty much a look at the chassis and the layout, and how it's all put together. There's your Lopti. Nice big chunky donut there with the usual, with the usual wax oozing out the bottom. I don't think this set, I mean, it's been used, but I don't think it's had heaps and heaps of use, because the tube on it is fantastic. Really bright, really sharp, good focus. So yeah, unsure about how much use it's had. There I go, repeating myself again. And there's your two filter caps there. As you said, they actually look all right. And there's a date code on there, 9th week of 1970. So that gives me an indication of when the set was built. Don't think this has got any date stamped on the yoke like that pie. Yeah, so it's actually pretty nice to work on. Everything's nice, as I said, nicely laid out. Nothing's too hard to get at. And to access the board, this whole thing sort of hinges down like that. So getting at the print side is really easy. There's the great big HT dropper there with the various taps that obviously feed the filter caps. When I pulled the back off this, it must have spent some time outside or under a bush or something, because literally I had heaps of dead leaves and bits of twigs and all sorts of things fell out onto the carpet. I spent about half an hour blooming trying to, and literally it was full of spider webs and leaves hanging off everything. It was absolutely chock-a-block. So I spent a good, as I said, don't go repeating yourself again. Now, I think this is a label that fell off the tube, so it's an A. There we are. It's a there we go. An A50 or 120W. And that must have fallen off there, but we'll just throw that back down in there. You can kind of see in that bottom right-hand corner the remnants of. It was literally layered with crap. That whole entire bottom area was just layered with dead foliage. So but luckily it didn't do any damage to the chassis in any way. And here's the tuner down in here, and the speaker. Or at least the tuner has got all the components on top. So I think for servicing would make it a lot easier for servicing. So yeah, they kind of really did think about the poor technician when they designed this. There's some more of that dead leaves and petals and shit that was in this thing. Oh yeah, there we go. Look, I'm still pulling. Look, there you go. It was full of these, so I'm still pulling those. So I mean, it could have even been from a pot plant that was sitting on top of the set, something that flowered and then all the petals fell into the back. But who knows? Anyhow, oh yeah, look, there's still a bit up there too. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there we go. There's some nice crusty stalagmite, dead spider webs and things hanging off there. So yeah, I'm sure they'll probably will fall down on time. Bit of a laugh. Slide this thing. Try and slide this thing back. Yeah. Will it stay there or will it fall back? It'll probably fall back actually and clap me in the blooming snout or something when I'm leaning forwards. Let me just push this thing back in again. And the rain stopped. Something's wrong. Here we go. It's a bit better. Yeah, so it's a bit of a look at the chassis anyway. And I'll just lean down and what actually stopped this set initially. Well, I'm not actually too sure, but when I pulled the back off, that's what I found. So whether this valve failing, of course, it would have broken the heater chain and the set wouldn't have worked. So whether this was the reason why the set was retired, unsure. Who knows? But I shall get those out of there. But yeah, here's some of the resistors I've replaced so far, and yeah, some of these are they're pretty crappy. They've drifted, like, you know, I've drifted way off spec. Like that there reads about 65k, and there's a 56k reading about 75. Yeah, so but yeah, they're all crap. So I've basically been going around spot checking the resistors and replacing ones that are in the B plus droppers HT supply to the various circuits or various parts of the set, and anything with low voltage on it or anything that's not really critical, I've just left them in. Still, yeah. There is still a bit of work to do to this thing. Horizontal linearity core broke as well, and so I just put a cabinet around to hold that in place. And there is actually a shield which goes around here. There's a complete shield that goes around there like that. But I had a bit of EHT arcing out of here, it was fizzing to the case and causing a few problems. So I just remelted some of the wax onto that, because I had a problem with this section here in regards to the boost voltage would slowly start to increase after the set had been on for about 5 or so minutes. And I'm thinking, well, okay, could be a few things. Could be the stabilizer pot, could be the VDR, could be resistors. So I went through and changed, found a number of these 2.2 meg resistors were high. The 1.8 meg read nearly 5. It was just, just a process. Okay, it's probably resistors or something like that. Just, assuming that it was assuming the stupidly obvious. I'll just show you in the circuit the area I was working on. Right, where are we? So pretty much in this area here. So there's your stabilizer pot. There's your boost voltage there of around 720. So I've changed that. I've changed that. All these resistors here had all gone high. So the thing worked initially, but it had a really weak picture and it wasn't very stable. And someone had also turned the AGC pot right down, so it was not quite know why that was done. But I've changed a few resistors in the vertical output oscillator section. But yeah, so see, this voltage was increasing on its own, just after about 5 or so minutes, as I just said. I'm thinking, well, what else could it be? It's probably that VDR. I have had these VDRs cause some weird and wonderful things. Change that, wasn't that? And the 2 meg stabilizer pot, I thought, well, I wonder if it's the pot. The pot had dropped down from 2 meg to about 1 meg. I thought, well, maybe it's that pot that's causing problems. So I replaced it. And the moment I replaced it, that's when I started having all these blasted EHT problems. So I'm not quite sure whether it was just pure coincidence, but had to melt that. Yeah, like I said, had to fix that. So I'm thinking, well, okay, what else? There's not really much else it could be. I changed all those parts. Checked that cap, everything was all right. So I'm thinking, well, what else could it be? Okay, well, it could be something funny with the boost diode or the PL504 line output valve, horizontal output valve. I changed that, it made no difference. I changed that, and that fixed it. Whether the valve was breaking down or starting to conduct where it shouldn't have, that was it. That valve was crook. So just bizarre how that would cause that, but oh well. I guess. And of course having that voltage increase as well, it's making this whole stage work more, making that thing work harder and draw more current. So it was so obviously that PL504 had something wrong with it. Now I can now I can set that to 720 volts or whatever, and it stays rock stable, doesn't drift, doesn't increase. So I'm actually quite glad I actually found that. That valve, it's just weird. But we're talking 50-year-old, well, over 50 plus year old componentry here, and you sort of got to suspect anything and everything now. That's pretty much where I'm up to with this. I might as well plug it in and let you guys have a look at the picture. So let me just get set up for that, and I'll be back in a tick. All right, since my mirror is not very good for looking through, looking at, You don't look through it, you look at it. You don't look through it, you look at it. Yeah, I've actually misplaced my big mirror, so it's the only mirror I've got at the moment. But we'll flick it on, and we'll patiently wait for the picture to come up. One channel I'm on. Yep, I'm on channel 9, so it should be all good. Yeah, we've got the valves lighting up. Oh, hang on. What's happened here? Am I on the wrong station? Oh, the DVD player is turned off. Back in a sec. Right, I reset the DVD player, and I've left it off for a few minutes because I quite like the way the picture appears on this thing. So it kind of looks quite cool. So we'll try that again. There we go. I love how it does this, and then it sort of comes in. It's quite cool, that. Quite like the way it does that. So yeah, image is a bit grainy because I've got these stupid rabbit ears, which are bloody hopeless. Sort of muck around with it. So this hang on, there's one of the wires broken off, is it? Ah, that's better. All right, there we go. Stupid plug. High quality. High qual. Of course, you're trying to get it. There we go. That's better. Actually, funny. Actually looks worse in the camera than it does on the screen. It's more grainier in the image. It's interesting, but yeah. Anyhow, yeah. As you can see, it's I don't need to tell you the picture tube's great. I mean, it's really bright. It's such a really sharp, dynamic, clear picture, which is good. So at least the tube it's healthy. So yeah, definitely very promising. There's pointless setting up all. It's pointless doing all the geometry setup until I get the thing to a point where I'm happy and satisfied with it. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll turn the set around, and I'll put the faulty PL504 back in, and I'll hook the meter up to the boost voltage test point, and I'll show you what it was doing. Because as I said, the last thing I suspected was the valve, but yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how grainy that actually looks on here compared to the actual image itself. That's interesting. I'll get that. So I'll sort that out when I spit it around. But right, I will turn it around and show you what the fault was. I've connected up the meter to the boost test point, I've got the replacement PL504 in at the moment, so it's been on for about, it's been on for a few minutes now, probably close to 10 minutes, and it's around, that boost voltage is stable, it's not drifting, it's all good, everything's all nice and happy. So while we're here, I guess I can play with the contrast control, and I play with the vertical hold. It's all working. Horizontal hold though is very, very touchy, and you can kind of see it. You can kind of see the picture kind of. I think the phasing. I think the phase is off too. It's all, you can see it's a bit of horizontal fight over there, and it kind of gets a bit, goes a bit sort of, what's that word? What's it called? Goes all sort of squiggly and not very. What do they call it? Squigging or something? I know there's some term for that sort of fault. The picture goes a bit strange, but yeah, as like I said, it's pointless me mucking around and setting all of that properly until I get all the other faults all that's sorted and get everything all working properly. So yeah, there's the as I said, there it is, currently working quite happily. So I'll put the old valve, I'll put the faulty valve back in. I'll do that now, and we'll see, and you'll soon see the fault. Okay, I've had this set on for about 5 minutes, and as you can see, that boost voltage is just now starting to climb steadily. What on earth is that noise? The neighbours are making this hell of a banging noise. I can hear it from here. I wonder what they're doing next door. Bang, bang, bang. God. Interesting. So this is with the faulty, with that faulty PL504. That's the original one. So the fault could have been there. The set could have probably run quite happily for years with that problem. But yeah, it gets to well over 800 volts, and the picture starts getting very stretched, and yeah. I don't think the Lopti would like that either. One point there it started arcing. I thought, oh, better try and get this sorted before the Lopti shorts out or something else gets damaged. But as you can see, it's just steadily, it'll just steadily climb up and up and up and up and up. Yeah, so I mean, there are variances with with these sets. There are certain, obviously, there's certain variances that these, the tolerance for these things is probably quite varied, but I just don't want to run the risk of cooking that Lopti or damaging it. So yeah, I'll just yeah. So yeah, that's the fault that I was experiencing, and fixed with a new, with a good second-hand replacement line output valve. So yeah, very, very interesting. Right, I thought what we might do to end the video on is we'll actually grabbed a handful of those crappy resistors, and I thought we'd measure a few and show you what I mean in regards to the values being way off. Oh, I've put the replacement PL504 back in there, and so we're all happy again. Well, we're all within spec. Of course, the picture's a bit smaller, but the boost voltage is now correct. So yeah, just a little bit question on the width though, because when the boost voltage was a lot higher than what it should have been, the picture was more filled out. But I don't know. I might look into that. There could be another underlying problem, or maybe somebody had changed some components to compensate for it, because there are a couple of components that have been changed down here. Sort of see that cap and the resistor there. I'm not going to put my finger too close because I'll probably get 11 kV at my arm. But yeah, someone's had a bit of a somebody's had a bit of a hack. Like, you can't actually see, but yeah, there's a bit of a hack job down in there. So I'm gonna look at all that later anyway. But anyhow, so I'll try and do this one-handed, of course. This is going to be fun trying to do this with bloody crocodile clips. Again, you guys can. This is probably a real boring part of the video, but there's a 27K. So what does that read? 27K reads 44, 45. That's kind of a bit off. Shall see if I can move this meter a bit closer. Actually, as I said, this video, none of my videos are rehearsed. They're spur of the moment, and I'll shut up. Okay. So that one's to be 27K, and it's reading 44. So that's definitely way out. What's this one meant to be? This is meant to be 56, I think, from memory. And that one's 56K, and it's reading 76. So it's 20K over. Here's a 47K. Again, about 20K over. So 155K, what's that one? Oh, that's 100, so that's 50K higher than it should be. Real stable and real stable there. No drift at all. This one here is 1.8 meg, I think. Trying to do this while through the camera is hopeless. Yeah, it's reading about 2.5 meg. What's that ticking noise? No, so there's something weird coming from this, like a weird sort of a ticking noise. It's probably a bit of EHT leaking, fizzing out for Lopti, waiting to get me like it did earlier on today. Got a bit of a zap off it. Poking around in there. It's meant to be 180K. And it's reading 220 or 228, so that's way off. Yeah, as I was saying before, we all know that valve circuits can, they can still function without out of whack resistors, and the tolerances are quite, tolerances can be quite varied, but in certain parts of the circuit, things won't function or operate correctly. As we all know, just old crappy components causing issues. 47K, again about 20K over, and the last one I think is it a 33? Yeah, I think I'll just it's reading 50K, so there you go. Yeah, I kind of got to, question all these other ones over this side too. What they're going to be like, and especially the ones around down here, they've probably all drifted as well. So whether that will be affecting the performance of the IF strip or the sound or the video side of things, but all I've done on this board is replace the PFL 200. I haven't touched this board in any way. I haven't even disturbed it. So once I get things sorted over this side, then I'll go over that side. But I think at the moment it's just to get the power supply, get the EHT settled, get the sweep circuits, get the vertical horizontal all happy, and then I'll concentrate over there. And hopefully that thing doesn't decide to give me any grief. That'll be really, really annoying. But yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to sign off here. Hope you've enjoyed this random rambling off the cuff video on the mighty, I was going to say the mighty Pi, the mighty Murphy V50. And yeah, and it's definitely a promising looking set. And yeah, no doubt there'll be another couple of parts to this thing. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now. I actually love how that turns off. Really cool.